You know me, Ron McCoy. I portray the fictional character Rob McCool. Rob McCool has experienced travails recently, but actually throughout his entire life, as he faces interesting fictional characters, and such is the case in this edition as he time tunnels backward to his first year of teaching. Using a time machine, Rob McCool is setting the dials to head backward through time to his birthday, November 18, not 2024, but 1985, the year Rob McCool started teaching. And yes, as you may recall, Rob McCool taught 6th grade at Bonaparte Elementary School. Here are some glimpses of his class. Then, as now, Rob McCool's birthday fell on a Monday, and in this case, a dark and stormy Monday. And as Rob is about to teach his students how to divide a 4-digit dividend by a 2-digit divisor, in walks his principal. Her name was Brenda Moron, and in she came, ready to observe Rob on that Monday morning, which was his birthday. Prior to that fateful Monday, and for several weeks before, Rob's family was in turmoil because Rob's father was leaving Rob's mother. In other words, separation, which would eventually lead to divorce. And the day before that stormy Monday was Rob's birthday celebration, and it was not a happy occasion. As you can see by the looks on the faces of Rob and his grandparents McCool. In other words, a good time was not had by all. His parents' separation, as well as the raging thunderstorm, a room of restless 6th graders, as well as just the fact that it was Monday morning, weighed heavily on Rob McCool as he bungled his way through an explanation of how to divide by a 2-digit number. This, while his principal, Brenda Moron, sat in the back of his room, not really paying too much attention to his lesson, but checking through a stack of workbooks that Rob had not yet graded. Of this I will say about my first principal, Brenda Moron, she was a very positive person, and she did write Rob positive notes like this. Rob McCool has now decided to navigate away from 1985 back to approximately 1.5 years ago to May 15, 2023, where of course the setting is Freedom Maples Elementary School, and Rob McCool is going to get his summative evaluation from his principal at the time, Stormtrooper. And while Rob's last classroom observation went well, his scores weren't quite as stellar as they usually are. Rob, your lesson was excellent. Your students seem to have mastered concepts involving the language of learning, and they seemed so engaged in everything. And I talked to the boy who threw the marker, the first one, and he was telling me about how much fun class is and how engaging all of the games are. The only thing I have to say is I was really expecting to be able to come into your room and see a class meeting. when would be a great time that I could see a class meeting? Rob is thinking, class meeting? When was the last time I did a class meeting? In actuality, Rob was great at conducting class meetings with his class, just not always first thing in the morning. So, yes, Rob, your students seem to be thriving. They show such great self-efficacy. They do what they need to do, and they seem to be in great spirits. What I'm really worried about right now is the problems that I, as principal of Freedom Maples, have caused. It seems like there are a lot of bad feelings among staff members. And Rob is thinking, boy, is that in the nature of an understatement? And meanwhile, at Freedom Hospital, approximately 1 week before Rob met with his principal stormtrooper, a nurse confers with Rob about why his mom has been acting so strangely. Well, it seems as if your mom was administered morphine to help control her pain, and it's that morphine that has caused her mind to be all mixed up, which actually makes sense to Rob because Rob's mom has always been super sensitive to medication and just about everything else. So at this point, the recommendation is for your mom to return to skilled nursing at South Terre. A return to skilled nursing? Rob is thinking, oh, can he and his family live through a return trip to that place? So while Rob and his sisters confer about what to do with regard to their mom, Rob leaves May of 2023, sets the dials on the time machine for 3 days prior to his birthday. That would be November 15, 1985. It was Book Character Dress-Up Day. Rob had been reading out loud to his students the book Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. So in honor of that, they were going to watch the movie version from Walt Disney, and Rob obtained pirate hats from Long John Silver's for each of his students. So, Rob had a very challenging student that year, one who threatened to bring a gun to school and shoot Rob. Now, these were different times, but this boy was eventually transferred to another school, to a self-contained classroom where he could get the help that he needed. This boy had been with Rob McCool since the first day of school, Tuesday, September 3rd, through early November. So he had been a part of the read aloud Treasure Island. He also would visit a special education teacher at Bonaparte Elementary School, and that special education teacher, Rhonda Mack, had some interesting information to share with Rob about this boy. Troubled Boy will be coming back to your class on Friday, November 15, to participate in all of your Book Character Dress-Up Day Treasure Island related activities. Troubled Boy is coming back after the trouble that he caused in class, not to mention the threat that he made against his teacher, Mr. McCool. Well, Rob is going to talk to his principal, Brenda Moron, about that. Meanwhile, back in May of 2023, Rob McCool and his sisters still needed to make a decision about whether or not their mom should go back to skilled nursing at South Terre or return home, where his sister Sally Grau would need to deal with her. To find out what decision they make and so much more, be sure to tune in the next invigorating edition of Rob McCool's Guide to Freedom. And meanwhile, back in 1985, Rob has decided to confront his principal over the decision to let the troubled boy return to his class. For all of the contentious details, be sure to tune in the next edition.